All right, hello YouTube. Today, what we're going to be doing is I have put some artists in a bracket, some of the biggest pop artists according to Billboard. So don't come at me about who's in this list. I mean, who's in this bracket and who isn't, because I literally just went off the top 32 pop artists on Billboard, and that's the bracket that I'm going to be running. And I'm going to decide who I think is the best modern 2021 pop artist, based off of my own criteria. I don't really care about influence. I don't really care about anything quite like that. Literally, the only thing I'm going by is the artistic value of the artist and the quality of output I think that they've been putting out recently. And I mean, in the past couple years or so. Because we're talking about modern pop artists here, so it's only fitting. Olivia Rodrigo and the Jonas Brothers. Okay. So I'm going to tell you why I think this is such a sweep. And I'm not somebody who was even like a very big fan of Olivia's album. I think it was, I thought it had some good songs on it. And the songs that I liked, I really liked. Like I really, really liked it. And I love how she kind of went a more eclectic, genreless route. She's not following very many tropes. She's putting pop punk music in there, and I respect the hell out of that. Yeah, and I love how we're bringing all different styles of music back into pop music, into the mainstream, that is, and I love that. And the Jonas Brothers, man, dude, the Nick Jonas album, I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was rough. That was a rough one. That was a rough one for me. I found absolutely nothing interesting about it. But if we're just talking about the band as a whole, like, you know what I mean? I kind of liked Sucker. I think I liked one or two other tracks besides that off their record, but it wasn't the comeback I was really hoping for, to be quite honest. Yeah, it's Olivia Rodrigo. I think she's a great. If we're gonna have a number one pop artist ruling the Billboard charts this year, I think she's a great artist too. I think she's a great pick. Wow, Machine Gun Kelly versus Taylor Swift. I mean, I don't know how much I even need to talk about this. As I said before we started recording, Taylor Swift at this point is like, she just put out 2 indie records. I mean, and fuck you if you don't think those are like closer to being indie and indie folk than pop, because like, I mean, maybe there's some pop influence in there. It's like, I mean, Cardigan is essentially a Lana Del Rey song. It's literally just a Lana Del Rey song. And if you're calling Lana Del Rey pop, then that's a pop song, I guess. But I think that, yeah, she's putting out indie folk music. So, but, I'm including her on this list because she's been a pop artist for the past like decade, and even like her country stuff is country pop. So yeah, we're gonna counter. And then Machine Gun Kelly is I would consider him a pop artist now too. People would be like, hey, Will, but it's pop punk music. That's a subgenre of rock. Yes, you're right, but he has trap drums in his pop punk music, and I'd consider that pop music at this point. Add enough trap drums to a genre, it's pop music now. That's my criteria. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stand by it. Yeah, if we're talking about recent work, it's definitely Taylor Swift. If we're talking about past work, full discographies, it's also Taylor. So it's not even a question. Dua Lipa, Maroon 5. Oh my God. I don't know why this one made me. Yeah, okay. Maroon 5's album, I listened to it. I didn't even think it was worth talking about. It was very a passive listening experience. They had one song in it that sounded like a Tame Impala song that I thought was like, all right. It was like a blatant Tame Impala song. But the rest of it were like, wow. I mean, I don't even know if this band's making music anymore. Yeah, guys, I'm not saying that like Songs About Jane isn't a great album. I really, really like that album. It reminds me a lot of a specific era in my life. But even when I like go back to that album, Songs About Jane's good, and I'm not saying that it isn't. But Jesus Christ, the past couple years of Maroon 5, like Payphone onward, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Love Future Nostalgia. I love everything that Dua Lipa's doing with that sound, and I hope she sticks with it. It's just an easy sweep, okay? Dua. Moving on. Doja Cat and Panic at the Disco, aka Brendan Urie. I like Hey Ma, I Made It. Is that what that song is called when I listen to that record? High Hopes kind of grinded my gears a little bit. I don't know. High Hopes kind of bothered me. But I liked some songs on that album. I know some people hated that album. I didn't hate it that much. But, you know, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out and Pretty Odd. Death of a Bachelor is a great song. And I like a lot of songs on that record, too. So Panic has some great stuff. I'm not a Panic at the Disco hater. But even though Doja Cat put out a pretty lackluster album recently, sorry, Doja, the songs that hit for me, and I just wish that she was going to be in my rappers list. She might be in my rapper bracket too, depending on who you ask. I just wish she stopped making pop music and just started making pop influenced hip hop would be. I think it's the perfect rap for Doja. I don't hate it when she sings. I just wish she rapped more. That's it. But yeah, it's for me. It's probably Doja Cat. If we're talking, again, this bracket is recency. It's about 2021 recent performances. And Panic, I got to agree with chat, Panic the Disco did fall off quite a bit. So I'm going Doja Cat. Ariana Grande versus Pink. And I was just shocked to see that Pink was even in the top 32 pop artists of 2021. I don't know who's listening to Pink or if Pink is putting out music. I think I heard like one song on a New Music Friday we did. But for the most part, I don't know who's listening to Pink still. I don't dislike Pink. I'm just kind of confused about who's listening to Pink. Pink has huge tours. Yeah, what is it about Pink? Does anyone know? Does anyone know what's up with Pink? Whatever. It's Ariana Grande though, easily for me. I mean, even though I didn't like Positions, I think that I would consider Thank You Next to be a very recent album. And Sweetener's 2018? And both those albums are amazing. Like, I think Thank You Next is probably, I mean, it's creeping up there on one of my favorite pop albums ever, honestly. Like, if we're talking like how much I play it, it's definitely in my top 20. And some people hate Sweetener, which it's like, whatever. You know, if you hate Sweetener, I get it. Pharrell's production on that album isn't going to be for everybody, but I loved the interesting risks that were taken and kind of like, I don't know, to me, I feel like that album had personality. It wasn't like, I mean, the things that people hated, I thought was cute. I thought it was interesting. And also, Ariana Grande is one of the best vocalists out there right now. It's in pop music, for sure. Like in popular music, I'm not talking obviously like opera, whatever, you know, that's a whole different thing, whole different discussion. But if we're talking pop music, there aren't very many vocalists better than Ariana. So I'm a big Ariana Grande fan. I just hope she doesn't put out another album at the same level as Positions again, because Homegirl fucking phoned that one in. I think she made Thank You Next and she was like, I can do anything that I want without trying. And that's what Positions came to be. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna try not to be mean here, because Tate Mcrae is a very young artist, and she has not developed the thick skin to be able to accept like mean criticism and bounce back from it. So I'm not gonna try to be too mean. Okay. So it's Tate Mcrae. For whatever reason, the industry is trying to push the hell out of Tate Mcrae, and I don't know why. Like I don't find anything interesting about her music, and that is something that she can change. She can sing. She's like very young. She's got to be like 18 or something like that, 17 or 18. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, that stands out about her music. It's just not, the industry is trying to make her work, and it doesn't work. Okay. But while Billie Eilish's last single, I didn't love very much. And I don't care if you guys, I'm not going to get into the drama, whatever. I honestly, guys, that's not my job. I talk about music. Um, Billy's music is extremely interesting. She's a great example of an artist that pushes the boundaries of pop music, does her own thing, and Billie Eilish sounds like Billie Eilish. Some people credit that to mostly being Phineas, which I would kind of agree with, but she had a hand in the creative process too, obviously, and and she's, it's 50-50 writing credits. We can't just credit everything to Phineas. It's her as an artist, and what she has portrayed as an artist I found astounding, at least in her 2019 record. Billie Eilish is way beyond Tate McRae, so she's going to move on. Oh wow. BTS versus SZA. Okay. BTS is a phenomenon. Just like they're one of the biggest artists of all time at this point. And I like some of their music. Can I listen to an album from them and at the end of it be able to distinguish one song from the other? Most of the time I cannot. That being said, and that is my main criticism of BTS, and hopefully their fans can accept that. And but there are some songs that I really like, but it's like SZA's peaks are just enormous and just, I don't know, kind of washes everything by BTS out of the water, blows everything that BTS has ever done out of the water. Yeah, and SZA's just amazing. Give us that album. Okay, Harry Styles and 21 Pilots. It's interesting. I feel like 21 Pilots fans are like alt Harry Styles fans. They're like Harry Styles fans with shorter haircuts. But yeah, Harry Styles, 21 Pilots, man, was that 21 Pilots album awful. And I think that when 21 Pilots is making like rock music, and listen, it took me a while to get behind 21 Pilots because the rapping always felt super corny to me. And the corniest rapping that they've ever done is on their latest record that is like mostly pop music, which is why they are on this pop artist list, is because their last album, Scaled and Icy, is just a pop album. I really like Blurry Face. I really like Trench. I'm a big fan of both of those albums, but if we're talking like pop music and pop artists, I got to go with Harry Styles, because his pop records are just better. They're just better than whatever the fuck that monstrosity of an album was, Scaled and Icy. So it's Harry. Okay, now we're moving on to Olivia Rodrigo versus Taylor Swift. This is yeah. Well, I feel like these two had to meet because it's kind of like Olivia Rodrigo is like, I feel like Taylor is weirdly like, because Taylor's audience, believe it or not, despite what her comment sections mentioning her might look like, it's her audience is maturing and they're getting older. That's just the reality. In a way, she's kind of passing the torch to the younger audience to Olivia Rodrigo in some ways, especially since Taylor Swift is not making pop music anymore. I repeat, she's not really making pop music unless you count her re-recordings. But if we're talking about like music that they've been putting out recently, regardless of the pop label, it's easily Taylor Swift, and that is no shade to Olivia Rodrigo. She had a decent debut, some really great songs off of her, and she's just killing it. She's killing it financially, for sure, but she's killing it artistically in some ways too. And I think, yeah, Olivia herself, I agree, chat. Olivia herself would say Taylor Swift. So yeah, it's Taylor. Dua Lipa versus Doja Cat. I think that right off the bat, I gotta say, it's Dua Lipa pretty easily for me, and that's just because Dua has proven that she can make an album. I think that Doja hasn't really proven that to me, and I don't think that like there's much of an argument against that. I mean, Doja's albums are just kind of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, and the stuff that sticks is really good. But it's Dua Lipa. It's Dua Lipa. Ariana Grande versus Billie Eilish. This is interesting because 2 out of the 3 singles that Billie Eilish released this year, I really liked. And I didn't really like almost anything from Ariana Grande's album. Okay, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate everything off of Positions, but I didn't like a lot of it. I mean, I didn't really... I could pull nothing from that album that I was like, yes, this is really good. Any of those that I liked more than Billie's. And when it came to their 2019 albums, I'd have to say that I think Billie's album is a little bit better, only because it's more daring than Thank You Next. It's more daring, and I love that. It depends what you value. I prefer albums that try to push boundaries most of the time because I listen to so much music that I start hearing shit repeat. And while I love Thank You Next, it's a very straightforward, great pop songs. Fuck it, I'm going to go Ariana Grande anyway. I don't know, it's a feeling. They're really close, though. They're really close. Why I went with Ariana there was because what do I want to listen to more in 2021? Like if they both put out an album, what am I more excited for? It's an Ariana album. I'd prefer to listen to an Ariana album right now, and that's just like a gut feeling. All right, SZA versus Harry Styles. Okay. It's SZA. I thought about it. I went like this. It's SZA. I thought really hard, chat. I thought, SZA. I might lose some people in chat for this. My bad, guys, if I piss you off. But I liked Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia more than anything Taylor Swift has put out in the past 6 years. Yeah. 7 years, 8 years. So, I liked it more than Folklore. I liked it more than, and guys, listen, hey, not to sound patronizing, chat, but if Folklore was the first indie folk album you've ever listened to, I can see why you were quite taken with it. I can see why you were quite taken with it. It wasn't the first indie folk album I've ever listened to. So I don't know. I thought it was a good indie folk album. It wasn't mind-blowing to me like it was for some of you guys. That's okay. And that's okay. I think there are better versions of Folklore already out there. And there was if we're looking for a great indie folk album, Songs by Adrian Linker was out there. Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers was out the same year. I pissed so many of you guys off. I'm sorry. Hey, do I like Folklore? Yeah, I still listen to Folklore every once in a while. I think it's a good album. But I prefer Future Nostalgia. Who do I think is the better artist? It's Taylor Swift. We're excited for what Dua does right now, but Taylor's just the better artist. Ariana Grande, SZA. So, this is a tough one because SZA has been putting out such little music that this makes my job really hard. If I went, this is going to continue to be my tiebreaker. If I were to go by what album do I want to listen to more? Do I want to listen to a 2021 SZA album, or do I want to listen to a 2021 Ariana Grande album? Like, if that's the question, then I have to go SZA. And I think that they're both pretty... I love Ariana Grande. I love Thank You Next. But I got to go SZA. Just because if they said, gun to my head, or whatever, that's a little dramatic, but gun to my head, what album do you want to listen to more? What like 2021 album do you want to listen to more? A 2021 Ariana Grande album or a 2021 SZA album? I'm going SZA pretty much any day of the week right now. So, yeah, I'm going SZA. Okay, Taylor Swift versus SZA. Chat, here's my pitch, okay? Here's my pitch. I'm going to go back to what do I think? Like, the 2 records that Taylor put out in 2020, I thought were really good. I enjoyed them. They were solid. Do I think SZA could put out a better album than those 2 albums in 2021? I do. I think that she has the talent. I think that she has the I think she knows how to make a record. She's proven that with Control. So, like, if that's my metric, and I feel like that's a good way to go about it right now, because this is about modern. I'm not talking about legacy. Because if we're talking legacy, Taylor's got it in the bag. But, you know, this is a modern 2021 artists list. So I'm going to give it to SZA. That might seem like a huge upset to some of you guys, but deep in my heart, I feel like it's the right pick. Bad Bunny versus Bella Poarch. Why is Bella Poarch on this list? I don't know. Ask Billboard. Okay? Top 32 artist on Billboard by the numbers, and she has 1 song out. So, hey, and I like that song. I actually do. I think easily the best song TikTok influencer has put out. The only one I could say is like right behind that is that Lil Huddy song, 21st Century Vampire. I think that one's pretty good too. But yes, Bad Bunny. Obviously, it's gonna go to Bad Bunny. I love a lot of the stuff Bad Bunny puts out. I think that like some of it kind of feels like it blends together to me. Maybe that's because I'm in filthy English speaker, but I love a lot of Bad Bunny stuff. So yeah, it's going Bad Bunny. Post Malone versus Kali Uchis. The songs that have floated to the top of some Post Malone albums, I've really, really loved. I think Posty's got some talent, but I gotta go Kali with this one, honestly. Okay, wow. BB Rexa, another artist that her label's really trying to make happen, but it's just not happening. it's just not happening. It's yeah, and I don't know if it's going to. I haven't been known to be the biggest Lady Gaga fan in the world. I think that I respect her a lot as an artist, and Chromatic I actually liked quite a bit too. So if we're talking about modern artists, but yeah, it's Lady Gaga. It's not even a really hard pick for me. Okay, The Weeknd versus The Weeknd versus Khalid. I find Khalid's music pretty uninteresting. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there's a few songs that have stood out for me, but like when I listen to a whole Khalid album, I'm like, man, I wish that like literally anything would happen. Like just for me, the vocal performances feel pretty lackluster, pretty uninteresting, and just in general, I feel like the songwriting isn't really there for me. But that's the way I feel about it. And The Weeknd, oh yeah, Abel, The Weeknd. I had to call him Abel because, you know, I'm a music reviewer, and that's what we do. We call The Weeknd Abel. But yeah, I think that After Hours was amazing. I think that legacy-wise, The Weeknd has, I mean, in every sort of way, The Weeknd has it. I prefer his voice. I prefer pretty much everything about The Weeknd. So yeah, I'm giving it to The Weeknd. Okay, wow. Lana Del Rey and Chris Brown. Jesus Christ. Chris Brown made it really easy for me to not talk about how Lana Del Rey is problematic. Because Chris Brown is just like a horrible person. But also, I don't, okay, I'm not talking about reputations here. I'm talking about music. And musically, Chris Brown, like in his entire career, hasn't put out a project that I have found even somewhat interesting. And his popularity genuinely baffles me. Yeah, I've loved a lot of the Lana projects that she's put out lately. I think Norman fucking Rockwell is brilliant. I liked Chemtrails. I wasn't crazy about her last couple singles. I'm hoping they'll grow on me. But yeah, it's easily Lana Del Rey. I think everything that Lil Nas X has been doing lately has been really good. So It's obviously Lil Nas X, and just Jesus Christ, man. Imagine Dragons is like, I don't even know what to say about them and their popularity. I don't know. It feels racist. Their existence feels racist. I don't like it. I don't like how anything this generic and white at the same time doesn't sit right to me. And being popular, it makes me uncomfortable. Justin Bieber, Bruno Mars, pretty easy choice. While I did like Purpose quite a bit, I did like Purpose. I liked a lot of the songs on that album. I think Skrillex's production is great on that record. And Justin sounds pretty good on that album. But Changes was absolute dog water. I don't know. Changes was just terrible. And what's Justice? God, the Martin Luther King little snippets, like, dude. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 songs. I like Peaches. I think Peaches is a decent song. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Bruno, even if it's like the last thing he put out was like what? 24 Karat Magic? Like 2018? But like with the Silk Sonic stuff, easy. The Silk Sonic stuff makes this so easy. I mean, regardless, it's easy, but yeah. With the Silk Sonic stuff, yeah. Okay, Blackpink and AJR. Yeah, so it's Blackpink. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. Why do people hate AJR so much? Maybe it's because they are still talking about in their, like, I don't know, in their late 20s or whatever, in their early 30s, talking about, how do I do my taxes? And then over these, like, ridiculously overblown, compressed to hell instrumentals that are just, like, so awkward with these weird samples that coming out of nowhere and to make, like, absolutely no sense sonically in the song. It's like, I don't know, dude. If there's an irk musically, AJR is one of them for me. Like, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me, honestly. Yeah. I mean, people say music fans hate on AJR too much, but like, God, I don't know. It's something about them. Like, universally, we just all have to hate them. Blackpink, I actually liked their album. Their album called The Album. I liked it. Blackpink is pretty good. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, does it sound like it was made in a factory? 100%. Yes, it does. But that doesn't automatically make it bad. I gotta go Kali Uchis on this one, simply because the volume that Bad Bunny puts out and how much of it I like based on that volume, it puts it more in Kali Uchis' favor because she doesn't really put out anything that I don't like. So I'm going to go with Kali Uchis. Okay, Lady Gaga versus The Weeknd. The Weeknd. Yeah, I'm going The Weeknd. Okay. Lana Del Rey versus Lil Nas X. Okay, this is a strange. Like, okay, how can we in our right mind say that these two artists are in the same genre? That makes absolutely no sense. At least now. Yeah, I mean, okay, while I do really like all the stuff that Lil Nas is putting out, I gotta say that just based on Chemtrails and Norman fucking Rockwell, if we're gonna call those pop records, which I don't even know what to call them at this point, it's pretty easily going to Lana Del Rey but you know, Lil Nas has got a lot of potential. He just needs to put out more stuff. But yeah, I'm going Lana. Okay, Bruno Mars versus Blackpink. Okay, with Silk Sonic and whatever, I mean, he just hasn't been doing a lot recently, but honestly, this isn't that hard of a pick for me. I did like that Blackpink record, but honestly, just like everything I've heard from Silk Sonic so far alone just blows it out of the water. So I'm going Bruno Mars. Kali Uchis versus The Weeknd. Yeah, for the same reasons. I'm going The Weeknd. I just think that After Hours was brilliant, and I do like Caliuchis. I do like Isolation. I do like all of I did like her 2020 album too. But yeah, in general, I think Abel is the better artist. Lana Del Rey versus Bruno Mars. Again, just because like Norman fucking Rockwell is like pretty relatively recent, and I think that album is totally brilliant, and also the Silk Sonic album isn't out, which once the Silk Sonic album is out, he might have an argument if it's just as brilliant as I think it's going to be. If we're talking about like modern pop artists, but I'm gonna go Lana as of right now. Ooh. Okay. If I were to go over these artists like in their discography, do I think that Abel has? Do I think The Weeknd has something as good as Norman fucking Rockwell? Yes, actually. House of Balloons. I think House of Balloons is pretty much just as good. I think I might give the edge to Norman fucking Rockwell. Maybe. I think I might like that record a little bit more, but I think House of Balloons is like pretty much just as good. But if we're talking like modern work that they're putting out, and like whose album am I looking forward to listen to more, that's the tiebreaker that we've been doing. 2021, gun to my head, what album do I want more from one of these artists? I'm definitely going to choose The Weeknd. I did like Chemtrails, but it was a little bit of a letdown after Norman fucking Rockwell. And I really, really liked After Hours. And just I'm way more excited for a Weeknd album right now. And yeah, do I think he's the better artist? Honestly, maybe. He's more consistent. So I'm going The Weeknd. Okay, this is the final. Guys. It's funny how both of these are considered R&B artists by a lot of people. I mean, I would consider Abel now at this point to just be a pop artist. I would consider The Weeknd just to be a pop artist. And I think that SZA does a lot of pop music, but she's still, I mean, if she sticks with the more of like the control sound, then she is definitely an R&B artist still. But R&B and pop are they kind of work together at this point. So, yeah, who do I think is the better artist? It's The Weeknd. Yeah, that's it. That's the list. Yay. But yeah, that's my list, guys. So The Weeknd, I think, is the best pop artist out there right now, the best popular pop artist based on the top 32 that I had to pick from based off of Billboard. So yeah, I think The Weeknd is artistically, the best out there right now, I guess, based off of those 32. Obviously, if some of my more underground faves were on this list, they'd probably sweep the competition. But based off this list, The Weeknd. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Hey, I hope you liked that video. If you did like that video, please consider physically liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Also, check out my Patreon and Twitch page. You can get other exclusive content there. And if I offended you at any point in this video, just remember, it's just my opinion, and we're talking about music here. Yeah, I love you. Bye.